Okay, folks, I want to show you a little bit of how to go through the writing process for this essay, for the Antigone essay, because it's a little confusing at first, but it will make sense. Now, you should have watched lesson 4 where I go through how the writing process essentially works, that you break down a task stage by stage, and you take care of each stage, on its own, before you move on to the next stage. Because if you try to do everything at once, it kind of all falls apart. So, and what I've done is I've created some draft process sheets that you can work on online. I created these especially for English 101 online to work with Antigone. And I'm going to have some for the next essay, on Shoah, and then on civil rights, and then on the last one on art history. So let me take you to those. And so we have our Oedipus and others hanging out here. And this is where you go. And you should have watched lesson 4, by the way, or nothing I do will actually make sense. If you did, this will start to make sense. And this is kind of weird. This early draft sheet, and you click on it, and what's going to happen is it downloads onto your computer, okay, into your browser. Now this is a little bit tricky, so I want to show it to you. If you know how to do downloading on your browser and all that, you'll get this. There it is, right down there, down here. Now if you open it, this isn't going to do the trick, okay? I want you to be very careful with this, because this is not what you need. So you need to download it, you need to open it like this, but look at this funny little arrow right up there. Now you need to actually download the PDF onto your computer and move it onto your computer. You can do that, you can do it. Let me show you. What I did is I loaded it on my computer already. So I'll show it to you, but this actually allows me to download it onto my computer and put it on there, okay? So that I download the actual file. The code goes onto my computer. The other way you can do it, if you're kind of a drag and drop kind of person, it's right, when you download it, it puts it right there, and then you can grab it, and notice it's right there on my mouse, and then I can move it over to my desktop. And let me show you what I've got here. I'll show you this in a bit. I've actually downloaded the file onto my computer. Here it is right here, what I just dragged and dropped onto my computer. It's right here. Okay. That's what you need to do. Make sure you have the PDF on your computer. I've repeatedly had to help students out when what they did was they opened it in a new browser window and they filled it out in the browser window and it didn't save. So make sure you download the file onto your computer. It's on your desktop or wherever, but make sure you have the PDF, okay? And so let me walk through the stages, and this will all make sense. It's me going step by step. When so often what students want to do is they want to run and start typing it up. But what I'm asking you to do, what I really want you to do, and what you need to do for this essay is take one step at a time. And we're going to work on the content first. We're going to work on the content first. What we're not going to do is go through the formatting. I know a lot of people have questions about MLA and all those things. I will get to those in one of the next videos. But right now I want to go through. This is, I'll show you what I was actually doing a couple of hours ago with one of my other English 101 classes. This is what I came up with them and I was standing in front of them writing this. And this is what I came up with. They're doing Antigone too. Everybody's got to do it. Everybody's got to do Antigone. This is what I came up with, and this is very important. This I wrote out on a Word file. Okay. Let me get rid of that. This I wrote out on a Word file. But notice I've got 3 elements here. I've got the quotation, then I describe it, and then I analyze it. And then I actually had them kind of pick the quotations for me and tell me what to write on. The important thing was, with the early draft stage, was I really got good quotations in the early draft stage is what I did. And they told me they wanted me to write on the chorus, not Creon. I said, okay. Or wait, they told me either Creon or the chorus, and then I picked the chorus. So I went through, and it's important to know that the process is going to work. And I don't know yet what I'm going to come up with, but I know the process, and I'm going to be patient with myself as I get this done. And again, I was writing this just 2 hours ago. Here's the first quotation, and then I described it, and then I analyzed it. And here's the second quotation. They kind of helped me out with this one. Here's the quotation, here's the description, here's the analysis. And here's the third quotation. This is what I first started off with, but I lengthened it to add that to it. And I had to do this in front of the class. And boy, did I look silly doing it. But that's part of the process. So I want to be really clear that in the early process, you're getting your quotations. And then I was describing it, and then I barely started to analyze it, okay? So this is what I did in front of the class, and this is essentially what I'm going to ask you to do. And what I've put this PDF together. And let's go ahead and open up this PDF. I'll do this with you guys. And I know it looks really weird to actually do it this way. And I set this PDF up so that you could use it online, okay? And what it does, it says find 4 quotations throughout Antigone. The quotations should include metaphors and demonstrate an important element of loyalty or justice. That's the assignment. Is you're going to give an insight into loyalty or justice for the Greeks, okay? And you're going to be looking for metaphors. And I'll tell you this, I'm not absolute about it must have a metaphor. I don't do that, but I'll tell you it's easier to work with stuff if you get metaphors, okay? It makes it easier. Each quotation should be 3 to 6 lines. That's what I call my rule of thumb. Quotations shorter than 3 lines are very difficult to deal with. You didn't give yourself enough to work with. You need at least 3 lines. I find students more often underquote, okay? So get at least to the 3 lines. It'll give you enough to work with. The 6 lines is kind of like, you know what? Yeah, you got one heck of a quotation there. More than 6, you've got enough work for 2 body paragraphs. 3 to 6 is, again, an estimate. It's a rule of thumb, not written down in any rule book that I've seen. So describe the words and phrases used by the speaker, what is literally being described and discussed, and what type of words are being used. This step number 2 is usually what students skip. This is the slowing it down, and you find out things by describing the words, slowing it down and finding out what's going on. And I'm going to show you what I did with the class earlier today, and you're going to start to see that. Analyze the words and phrases. Why are these words important? Now, this is very important. This is the early draft stage. This is not everything I'm going to be looking for in a final essay, because we can only do so many things at once. We cannot do all the formatting, the thesis statement, just leave me alone, man. One thing at a time. We're going to develop the body paragraphs and get the evidence and start describing what's going on. And I'm going to transfer that stuff I did earlier today into this. So normally what you would do is go ahead and write a quotation of 3 to 6 lines. Notice that it starts from the evidence. And then we're going to describe it. So that's what I did earlier today. Okay? So let's go ahead and borrow what I had earlier today. Just for the sake of brevity, I had this quotation. And this is from, I think, scene 1 or 2. Let's copy it and paste it. There we go. And I say always write the page number down when you take a quotation. That'll save you time later on. You won't have to dig it up and find out where did I get down. Just put the page number down. Makes life easier. And then I'm asking for the description. This takes a little bit of time, and again, for the sake of brevity, I'm just going to use what I did earlier today, if you guys don't mind. And this is all I did. I described it right here. And now I need to be very clear. This is not good writing. I'm going to take it as it is. And you're going to see there's a typo in here. That was supposed to be hymns. And the sentences are rough. They really are. I don't like them. Okay? But I don't worry about that right now. I'm going to fix that later on. Okay? And then my analysis is, why are these words important? I'm going to grab, this is my analysis so far. I started to change my analysis at the end of class. I started to think about it for a bit, but I'll do that later. So notice these three elements I have for one body paragraph. There's a evidence, there's a discussion or a description of the evidence, and then there's the analysis. And let me walk through this, and I'll get it from the other paragraph for the other paragraphs too. I've got 3 ready. I'll get 4 for this essay. But now in the beautiful morning of victory, let thieves of the many chariots sing for joy. With hearts for dancing, we'll take leave of war. Our temples shall be sweet with the hymns of praise, and the long night shall echo with our chorus. Now, a very important element is, I just kind of think that's cool. That's how I chose that quotation. I didn't go through and find, what was the clearest. I'll tell you this: if it's kind of funky, it usually works better. If it's kind of weird, yeah, there's more to analyze. There's more to discuss. That's why I like that quotation. I did not know exactly what I was going to say about it. That's how I chose that one. Okay? And now I started to figure it out. I haven't figured it out yet. And I'll show you in the middle draft stage. This is almost certainly going to change. But that's okay. Let's see what goes on here. The chorus has a joyful attitude as it describes not the new day, but the new day after the victory over the rebellious Polynices. And I noticed, this was something I actually did in front of the class. I wrote this, and then I noticed that Polynices is actually not named here. This is important, but that's who the leave of war, that was a war with Polynices, but notice the chorus never mentions Polynices. I didn't figure that out until a little bit later. And that's when I added this, did not mention Polynices but name, but the war with him is what they just went through. I added that. I figured it out that they're not even naming him. Okay? So I just described that they're not even naming him. They call on the whole city of thieves to sing for joy and dance not only physically but in their hearts. That is in here. I'm describing it. Again, cognitively, I'm slowing things down. That is so important, but so hard to do, because it's not something we've really been trained to do. But it's an element of good critical thinking. They are leaving the war behind. The chorus describes the temples as being filled with the sounds of the hymns, but they describe them as being sweet, as if they were beautiful, delightful food they could eat. And notice what I'm doing. I'm running the metaphor machine on this. Now, I'm describing that they're, talking about the sweet hymns of praise. That's a metaphor. Hymns, songs are not actually sweet. You don't taste them. But they're using the words that are more for food rather than for songs. But I'm actually talking about literally what they're talking about, which are songs, but they're using the language of food. I'm going to analyze that. Okay, I'm going to analyze it more than I have here because there's more stuff here. But notice what I'm doing. I'm using the metaphor machine, but I'm just describing it. I am not covering the third stage of the metaphor machine, which is the analysis yet. Not yet. I am first just describing what's going on. And I need to tell you, these sentences are rough. I was writing these in front of everybody. It's just the way it is. That's okay. I don't care. This isn't my final essay. Notice what I'm doing. I'm focusing on the content and getting the description down. I'm not focusing on writing gracefully or writing clearly. There's rough sentences. I'm not even focusing on the spelling. Okay? Yes, your English teacher actually is a bad speller. Okay? That's a bit of a typo, but I spell badly too. This is me asking myself, analyze the words and phrases being used. Why are these words and phrases important? This is a shift that needs to take place in your essay. You need to stop and go, okay, why is this important? That's a shift. Okay? I described what it is. Now I describe why it's important. Now I go into why I think it's important. You might disagree, and other folks might disagree, but everybody should be able to see the description. This is where I step in, and I've got to warn you, I'm changing this. I'm still working on the analysis because I'm getting some more ideas. Creon breaks down the boundaries between the church walls and the night because they are so joyous about the end of the war with Polynices. They are also focused on their own hearts, where the joy comes from, and describe it as being the basis of the dances. It is as if they feel their emotional world is bursting open because it has been restrained for so long in the Civil War. That was what I was figuring out while I was writing. But I was figuring out, and I just figured this out at the end of class, that they don't even mention Polynices here. Why is that important? They are still repressing things. They are, however, still repressing the source of the war, which was Polynices, the brother of Antigone. Because, I shouldn't use a comma there, but I don't care, they do not even mention him by name. So I'm adding to why these words are important right now, and that's what I'm coming up with. Again, there's rough sentences, and by the way, you don't actually need a comma when you use because at the end. But anyway, that's the analysis, and that's what I want you to do for another quotation, and then another. That's going to be the second body paragraph, and then the third one here, and then a fourth one. Okay, I got through 3 body paragraphs in the class today. I'm only going to walk you through this one and how to. And basically, I'm done with the rough draft for the first body paragraph. I have not taken care of things like topic sentences. There's formatting. There's all these problems. I'll get to it later. I'm doing a limited number of things in the early draft stage so that I can analyze things effectively and do a decent job. I'm focused on that. Okay? Is this horrible grammar? It's not horrible, but it sure ain't good. Is the formatting off? Yes, but it's not terrible. I've got the elements. And I'm covering, there's going to be 4 elements in every body paragraph. You're going to set the topic, use the evidence, describe it, and then analyze it. All of them are going to have 4. In the early draft stage, just get these 3. And get it for the first body paragraph, and then do the same thing for the second, and do the same thing for the third, and do the same thing for the fourth. And you're in good shape. Okay? Notice I did that. I did that with this body paragraph with a quotation from the 7th paragraph, 7th page. I did it for here, for the 21st page. And then I actually had a student pick this quotation for me, 32. A student picked that one for me. And I'll go through some of the troubles I had with that when I go through the middle draft stage. But what I want you to do first is just find your quotations. Notice that I spread them throughout the play. I covered early on, I covered the middle, and I covered the end. That's what you should be focused on right now, is getting your quotations. And then we'll actually work on refining it and making it better. But start off with getting good quotations. That's your foundation. Get the good quotations and describe them. Slow things down. Okay? If you don't slow it down and you rush it, it's not going to come together for you. You're not going to have much. And then get into why you think it's important. Okay? And so I'll come back with another video in a day or so on the middle draft stage. Okay? So get things started, but make darn sure you download it onto your computer. Okay? So that you have a PDF file like this you can open. Do not. The common mistake is just to open it within a browser, which you don't want to do because you cannot save this on your desktop. You can't save this, whatever you write here. Whatever I write here isn't going to be saved on my desktop. Okay? So download this file. Make sure this is open. Then you download it. Hit that little download arrow. And then it'll put it onto your computer. Make sure you do that. And then fill it out as a form on your computer as best you can. But don't sweat the details yet. We're going to get to the details. We will be sweating them and we will be working on them, and I'll cover MLA and all that. I'll cover it in the next video, okay? Take care, you guys.